All right, everyone. So tonight we're doing a Civil War midpoint discussion, and it's really just to talk about how the Civil War has gone, maybe some of the different strategies people are doing, as well as what we look forward to doing in the future, and maybe how the rest of this is going to play out. The kind of format that we're going to have for the discussions is we're going to start by kind of doing a day-by-day walkthrough of how each day has gone. So the outcomes of those, the different strategies that people have done to progress on the map, and for each day, we're going to try and just get a different feel from uh, each of the different sides. So in Team Secret right now we have a representation from the north. We got Esprit de Corps and Foxy so far as I know. And from the south we have quite a few. We have Otter, Villain, Please Go Bulls, Chai 2, Dice, and Thugs. So a lot of representative from the south, so maybe we'll have a bit more a bit more chatter for them. But we're going to start by just going into the starting positions of the map and just talk a little bit about the strategies behind that and the placement. So I've just flipped over to having, you'll see it briefly on the stream. This is the starting positions for the Civil War map. You'll see on the east we have Esprit de Corps holding the most eastern flank with G in the middle, PBCAC in the middle as well, Relic, and more of the Relic clans there, Foxy and Claws. In the south side, we have Please Go on the east with Thugs and Dice. Otter taking one of the capitals with Villain, or not, sorry, Villain. Yes, Villain flanking them. Chai and Chai 2 in the middle. Villain also holding one of the other capitals. And then Bulls and Tea Time on the west. So, Inge, I don't know if you want to speak a little bit around maybe the strategy and the thought process behind the placement of the teams in the north.
Yeah, so we kind of had the thoughts of with the LZs being key, basically kind of how do a hammer and anvil tactic, try to land on the LZs behind them, and have our two main forces, G and Relic, basically create a stalemate on the HQs, and then come in, surround them, and kind of squeeze them in from the middle, forcing them to not have as many chips in play. So that was the initial setup. We put the teams in position based upon the time zones that they felt most comfortable playing in or fielding the most teams, and then with the maps that they felt most comfortable on. So Spirit Core and G are primarily East Coast. We put them out there, and then Claws and Relic 2, kind of the other relics, a little bit more middle time zone, so we put them out there.
All right. Jay, I don't know if you want to take it for the south and your positioning.
I'd rather have Alright that, because, I mean, once we picked all the teams, decided to kind of give the main role in deciding our plan is just to go to Otter. They have more experience than us, and I think Alright is probably better at explaining this.
Sure. Elra?
Well, we looked at the time zone spread across our team, and Otter initially wanted to participate in the west/central instead of the east, but we noticed that we had sort of stacked our team heavily in the west anyway. So it ended up that we decided we were going to go and hold the east and just be a sort of like wall, and that would push all of our strong clans together and just break the west before we worried about the east.
Okay. And are you surprised with how much you guys have held the east?
Yes and no. So, for the most part, there was like a war going on between us and G, where we were primarily chipping into each other, and then there were the various cover stacks going on and the other battles that Otter was doing and stuff. And I think we've had a lot more practice fighting like clan wars recently, like proper wars with the multiple teams thing. Whereas for G, they've been able to gold farm for a while, so they still have that really strong A team. But once it got out of just one fight at a time to doubles and triples and whatnot, I think that's really where we shone, just because we were a lot more experienced at that.
Okay.
So like we knew that wherever Otter was going to go, we were going to have like we were going to be solid.
Right. Okay, I'm just going to flip it over to the end of day one now. So at the end of day one, the points for the south were 31 and the points for the north were 21. There was no real change in the capital out east. G managed to hold that on day one, but out on the west, the capital, which Relic had, fell to Villain. Also, there was single point territories out in the east that fell, so there was a Chai rogue stack that took, I think it was northwestern Ontario from Esprit de Corps. But then there was also some, Esprit de Corps also took one of the territories from the south, just next to Otter's capital. So, Inch, I don't know if you want to give your perspective on how day one went for the north.
Yeah, I think day one, when G actually got out to, fell into place. They were able to hold back Otter on that first day. Relic, we did not give them as much support as was needed, with the cover stacks, and that opened up kind of a crack in the western side, and only one of 3 of our landing clans was able to get on the map. That was Bold out there. From the and then on the east, we were able to push into Minnesota, which was we viewed that as being a strategic point to be able to influence and basically cut off the eastern side. I know Chai. I will say, I mean, with Alu and Jay, your guys' strategy of having Chai with the rogue stacks going around, I thought that was a great move. It really put pressure on us to step up and answer that stack to Chai. So that was a good move by you guys.
Now, I haven't seen the first fight that you guys had with G on that one, but obviously since then there's been we've seen a lot of the fights and you've been pretty successful. So what was your take on the first night for Otter, and then just in general for the South, your take on what happened?
I think our main issue was G's very strong on Prokhorovka. It took us a little while to figure them out. At best, I don't even think we maintained 50% win rate against G on Prokhorovka. But on the night we took the HQ, the encounter battle spawned as Tundra, and we still haven't lost a match on Tundra this whole war. So we had a good time with that. It was mainly just the map. Like, G is so brutal on Prokhorovka. I gotta give them kudos for that.
I think the final record was something on the order of 6-4 on proc, I want to say, in our favor.
Right. I've seen some of the videos recently, and it seems like it's been back and forth on that one. So, okay, I'm gonna swap it over to day 2 then to see where things progress.
Well,
So
I know. I was gonna say, any other key battles? I know out west, there was some really close battles going back and forth with the lands out there. Was it Bulls? I think you guys had one with like 15-14 on that first night.
15-14. They won with a AFK tank coming back alive.
Oh, that was awesome to hear that. I mean, more in our favor, but who was that? Claus that did that, or was
That
that
was Foxy.
That was
Foxy.
actually 15-14 on the first night. It was the Bulls.
Yeah, that
encounter was Foxy. There was our battle was Relic second.
Yeah, that's the. I wasn't able to catch a replay of those, but it definitely sounded like some very close battles out over there. So, and yeah, geez, if you want to go ahead to day 2.
Yep. So going into day 2, end of day 2 saw a lot of progress for the South. They ended with a point total of 71 points to North having 33. By the end of day 2, the South had held all of the capitals, as you were, the 4-point capitals. Also in the east, you see that Please Go and Thugs were able to take a lot of the Norse territory out there from Esprit de Corps particularly. And in the west, Villain started making a huge push. I know that they had a lot of big wins early on, and they're still getting a lot of wins. But they managed to take a lot of those main territories there. So it's very much cut the the north in half, it seems, on this day. And true to their plan, the South is embedding themselves very much around those main territories and pushing outwards. So, Inch, I don't know if you have any words for day 2.
Well, Jake, I'll let you go first on this one.
Or anyone
Or
from the
not.
South who might like to. I mean, I don't know. Please go. This is where you guys, you pushed into us pretty hard here. I don't know if you have any take on how it went for you, or.
Well, hello everybody. Duke Nukem here. Anyways, as far as Please Go is concerned, our job was simply just to push up there, and then Thugs take the LZ, obviously. Meanwhile, Otter and Villain's main priority was taking the HQs and just keep hammering them, while everybody else's job essentially was to just keep everybody other than essentially G and Relic busy. Obviously, Relic wasn't on the map anymore, so mission accomplished there, and it was just G. And the big focus was to kind of funnel Otter into G and G into Otter. Meanwhile, everybody else in the middle there, like Chai 2, Chai, would push into PBCAC and Rel 3rd, Please Go into eSport, and Thugs on hitting the LZs where they could. Another thing to note is that Foxy took the LZ from Tea Time, which was kind of sucked, but Tea Time had been doing well up to that point anyways. And then it was just basically on them just to hold Foxy, which I don't remember how that went so far. I think they've been splitting evenly. I don't know if anyone from Foxy wants to comment on that, but for the most part, yeah, this was the day that was kind of like the big tone set for South. We took a lot of land from North, especially with getting Relic off the map. That was huge. That was just my point on it.
Yeah, once Relic, we weren't able to support them as much as we could have. It split our forces in two, and not being able to influence that Western HQ anymore set us back there.
What about on the west? I mean, I haven't seen too much of the battles out there, like from Bulls or Tea Time. I know Foxy's been pushing in a little bit over there. Is there anybody out on the west who might want to comment on, what it was like around day 2?
So, I'm with Foxy, and it's been constant fighting between us and Tea Times and Bulls cover stacks. And, we got a couple early wins against Bulls, and I've been happy with their performance with Tea Time. They've been tough, but I think we've won more than our fair share. I expect them to beat us a couple more times. But yeah, fighting through 2 stacks to take each territory is pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
The fighting out there's been really great. I mean, both Claws, Relic Second, Foxy, Tea Time, Bulls, now Dice. Everybody has their wins out there. It seems that the Northern Clan tend to do better on the encounters, but then they haven't been taking the territory after winning those encounters. That seems to be the biggest drawback from the North so far.
Yeah, I know
I'd
on
agree
the
with that
second
assessment.
night, it's pretty cool. We beat a Chai 2. Oh, no, sorry, it was
Chai
the third
Main.
night. Yeah, well, we beat Chai Main on the second night, and then on the third night, we beat 3 cover stacks, got all the way to Otter, and then got just schooled. And, we're headed into that final battle. We're like, all right, guys, we got the strat down. We got through 3 cover stacks, get to Otter, and it was like, okay, there's Otter. Well done. All right. How many tanks did we lock of theirs? All right, not enough.
Well, and so that brings up an actually interesting point because, because of all the cover stacks, when you have such 10-on-10 team and you can have 4 cover stacks or whatever on a territory, tank locking actually starts to become a big issue. I know for myself personally, I've by day 4 or something like that, I'm fairly limited to what tanks I can bring. Has that affected a lot of the other clans, or like how is everyone else doing with that?
I know in PibCac we have like 1 or 2 people who are pretty critical for us they've ran out of some of their better tanks, some of the more used stuff, but for the most part, and I think we've been fighting a little bit less too. Like people have been grinding through like 4 or 5 stacks a night, and we not so much because we've been more so just trying to hold. But tank locking hasn't been an issue for us.
I think Otter had a goal last night, rather to lock less than 15 of our tanks across the 7 or 8 battles we had, and we ended up locking 18. So pretty big failure, but otherwise went pretty well.
What a huge
That's a bad
failure.
thing.
Can Otter recover from this set?
You should be able to figure it out.
One of
You
the
heard it here. Otter's weak now. Get him.
F.
when we were fighting Relic and Villain and all of that nonsense down in Texas a while back, we averaged 9 games per night, and we didn't have any ceasefire days, and like tank locking almost broke us, but not quite. The cover stacks are really, really, really huge. Because if you can, if you're not having great games against some of the clans you're going through in order to get to the end, you can lock sort of 30, 40 tanks before you even get to there. And then just one territory can be like 60 tanks.
Well,
That's such a huge cost to it.
I know, I'm kind of jumping ahead a couple of battles here, but with Please Go, we had battles on, was it Kharkov? It was Kharkov attacking Kharkov. It was basically just like
Kharkov 4 times a night, every night. It was terrible.
It's like, how many E100s? Oh my God, someone still has an E100 left. We gotta bring him in. It's like it's like, all right, okay, guys, who here has E? Seriously? You're like, hey, we don't got anything else. Let's bring some E4s.
Yo, Russ loves the E4s. Come on.
Well, and then we might talk about that later here, getting into what tanks we see kind of shining right now or going forward. But Cheese, go ahead if you want to proceed going forward.
Well, so I'll switch it over to day 3. Now, this was a ceasefire day, so there was no movement in terms of points, but there was a few movements on the south in terms of just there was a few clans who traded spots. It didn't happen so much in the north, primarily because there wasn't a lot of territories probably to do it, but from the south, I'd just kind of like to get the opinion. How much of a, how much were you looking into shifting on these off days? Because you did it on both of the ceasefire days. You moved people around.
I can talk about the west side. After losing the landing zone to Foxy, we decided basically the strategy was to form a wall of Tea-Time and Bulls and prevent the 3 clans on the west side from getting to the HQs. We didn't have anyone off the map to take the landing zones, which kind of sucked. And everybody in here knows that if a clan owns a landing zone, then they have a huge advantage, since the clans inland will not be able to push into them, and they will have to basically just be on the defensive from that point on.
Landing zones were definitely a heated debate amongst the south. There was a faction who wanted us to dedicate some resources to taking back the landing zones, and then there was another faction who felt that the landing zones didn't pose enough of a threat, considering the resources we had available, and wanted to work more to secure the HQs that we already had. So it was definitely something discussed amongst us quite a bit during the ceasefire days and the day in between.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's probably the shifting that you're seeing down on the west side. It's just us taking defensive posture and just getting ready to hold, to stall as long as possible for the central and the eastern flank to finish mopping up, if you will. Like which ended up taking longer than we would have wanted, but I think so far,
it looks like
it's worked
if
out.
yeah, and it looks like Chai and Doug, you probably chat a little bit more into this, but you guys shifted, assuming that Relic would be coming back, try to get in behind. Looks like you guys kind of shifted some resources down there.
Yeah, now that we had that wall formed on the western part of the map, we felt pretty comfortable starting to de-escalate Villain, and we basically wanted them to become containment of Relic, man-to-man Relic, and keep them out of the fight. And for the most part, they did a pretty good job of that until recently. Relic had difficulty getting up to the HQs because of Villain's work, so that worked out pretty well. The other major shift we did was Chai up. There's two schools that thought of that. One school was to get Chai next to Otter to secure the HQ, and the other school of thought was to push Chai through PBCAC's territories and into the rear of Relic 3rd as Thugs pushed over the top, and that's the move we decided to go with.
Gotcha.
Okay, so moving over into day 4. So this shows you the end of day 4. The south has a point total of 108, whereas the north has 48. So pretty big gap. It's starting to get bigger as those LZs are held all by the south. Starting to see a little bit more territory being taken back in the east, pushing back Please Go, as well as Foxy capitalizing in the west on a few territories, I think maybe from Tea Time. You start to see Relics start to come in from the south now, having left the map and taken that southern LZ. I don't know if we have anyone from. We do have someone from Relic. How talk us through a little bit about how it was going down there in the south and taking those LZs and fighting with Russ, and maybe Russ can give us some insight on their side.
Minus you there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we took the LZ and just started pushing east and trying to push. We were going to try to push west a little bit, which obviously creates a 2-front, which makes it very difficult, particularly when you don't have any supporting ships around you. So we try to focus more pushing on the east side of things. Unfortunately, we got waylaid by delayed by the fact that we weren't able to field 2 consecutive teams or 2 simultaneous teams on the battles that we really needed, which hurt quite a bit. So we had to choose to prioritize pushing east instead of being able to push west.
It sounds like the chat room wants to hear your perspective from Russ.
We can't
hear talking, but I can't hear him.
You're lighting up, but we can't hear you, buddy.
I'm also here from Russ too as well.
Cheeky breaky.
How was your guys' fights down south? What'd you guys think of it?
It was good. It was tough fights. We had some close ones. Just couldn't really bring them together at the very end to take out the win. But try and slow them down as much as we can.
Yeah, I know we had some fights versus some of the Russ cover stacks, and I think twice we lost Inch. I can't remember exactly, but
I think
definitely been some good fights.
I think for most of the war we fought, I think most of our battles came versus Relic and G, which basically ruins our record there pretty much, fighting 2 of the better clans in the tournament. But we held our own versus you guys and Bold and the other clans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking of, I don't see anybody Bold being up here, but I was, I think Bold definitely punched a little bit higher than what we were expecting on that 10th pick. I was pretty happy with their performance.
They've done pretty well.
Yeah, it's I think there's going throughout this event, there's been good publicity for a lot of the communities, and for those that are in the 10th pick, and Mac, maybe I'll let you know that there's no pressure on you guys. A lot of eyes are on the top communities here, and obviously on the leaders. But as far as the 10th pick, how is this event for you guys?
For myself?
Yep.
Oh, it's yeah. There's you say no pressure, but there has been. But no, it's been good. We've learned a lot here in Dice, and We had lots of tough battles. We came in, knowing what our job was going to be is kind of sit back and throw those cover stacks out. And we've had some good fights, but we've learned a lot with these guys. You can't really make mistakes, and that's where we've learned a lot is mainly through the battling and from the guys that are planning this all and trying to listen to them on how they plan it and do the chipping and such. It's been a treat. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it immensely.
Gotcha. Well, Cheese, can we move to the next day?
Yep. Day 5 is another ceasefire day, so the point total doesn't move. There was a little bit of shifting, I think, in terms of the south. Let me just bounce between. So, looks like Chai took over Villains, one in the northwest, and Villain took one of Russ's down south near Relic. So I think that's where you were starting about shifting Villain down in the south to start containing Relic as best as they can. So not a whole lot happening on this day. There was no shifting in the north. So maybe I'll just head on to day 6. So day 6. Go ahead.
Also, one thing I will say about the ceasefire day, followed by a day of attacks, followed by another ceasefire day, is it really allowed an opportunity to spring load the chips. You were able to green up all your chips for use on Wednesday, and throughout all your chips, knowing that you had a ceasefire day the following day to cool them back down again. So it really made for some interesting combination of attacks between the north and the south.
Yeah, those Wednesdays there were some busy days.
Yeah, I think that's when we went through 3 cover stacks to get to Otter. I was like, man, I wish that would have happened on a Friday. Would have been able to drink a little bit more whiskey without having to worry about work on Thursday.
Well, y'all get another opportunity on Wednesday. It's coming, buddy.
We do.
One more thing that happened on the ceasefire days that the map doesn't show is the HQ relocations, because we knew that we're gonna have the ceasefire day. We were able to move some of the HQs closer to the front line. So, I think Otters put their HQ.
HQ always goes on the front line, no pussy.
Yep.
Foxy moved our HQ up to the province. We had 1, so we could field 3 teams that night, and we chipped 3 stacks out. Unfortunately, that was our worst night against Bulls.
You win some, you lose some.
Oh yeah, fighting Bulls has been fun. It's challenging. The battles are fast-paced, and I don't know. They've mostly been really good battles for us.
I definitely have to say they have employed some interesting strats that I have yet to go against, and it's a learning experience.
Yeah, you pick up new strats. You're able to maybe improve your own clan's gameplay too. So
what's maybe that's a good point to kind of ask the group is what's the craziest strat you've seen so far?
Cormoran. Relic versus Villain.
Want to describe it a bit?
The Cormoran one, the Batshot rush?
Yeah, that's fun. They could have failed miserably if they had heavy tanks on the east side of the map.
Wait a second, you been a bad chat rush on Cormoran?
Yeah.
The only the reason that battle turned south and why Relic lost it is that our IS-7s that we were sending the middle pub froze when they saw the bats, and our Arty, for whatever reason, decided to drive to the east side of the map when all of our tanks were on the west side. Yeah. So when the bats came through to the cap circle, they ran into our Arty all by himself, and our IS-7s didn't move up to that middle.
Yeah, I saw the stream, and I saw the IS-7 turn around in the middle. I was like, what?
Two of them did.
And to me, it just sounds like your artillery was smart. They're going to be looking for the rest of you guys.
but from a
GC has amazing camo.
But from the villain perspective, that's probably been the most exciting and fun match of the war so far.
Yeah, probably. LZ was very excited about it.
I know Please Go did on that map. You're like, well, they're not going to push this line. They want to do this. And sure enough, the first time they beat us on that map, and it was just heavy tanks pouring out of one single alleyway, just kept pouring out. And that was a hell of a good fight. Cormoran. Kharkov, sorry. Kharkov.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we've faced the Gomerin.
How
No,
is
no, you're right
Kharkov
there.
playing? We
It's-
haven't played that one.
Depends
Terrible.
who you ask.
Lag.
ESPRT is doing very well on it against Pleasco. Pleasco is having some success, but I don't know.
I don't mean like the clans. I'm just talking about like the map in general because
The map.
it's a fairly
actually,
new map.
Map's pretty
what we're
good.
saying.
Oh,
Yeah, the map. Has there been a Clan Wars tournament on it yet for that
Yeah.
map
Yes.
specifically?
Should be
Yeah.
an invitational.
Yeah. So
The difficulty
the,
with Kharkov is that, like, since we were fighting esports on it a lot, like, there's a limited amount of space where you can go that's actually like viable to go to. So it's really difficult coming up with different strategies to try and beat each other when it's just like a really tight quartered map and there's not really much space to move.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
that's the same even on open
Cheese,
maps,
do you want
man.
to pull up a map tactic on it real quick? Maybe we can kind of switch over to it.
Oh, it's our secret strategies.
Give me some try here. One sec.
Yeah, I mean that map. I know Otter. You guys did a great job against us last night on it. We felt confident on it, but I forgot I was talking with Lou about it then. That it's individual tanks on that map are surprisingly effective. Like that one lone bat chat on us. Just, I mean, he got paid last night. He did some work and he got paid. I think he pulled down like 4,000 damage just running between little alleyways and getting side shots, rear shots on us. So.
That's what you get for using tanks that don't have turrets.
Yeah.
Like seriously, there's a reason we don't use TDs. I'm dead serious, by the way. Don't use TDs. Like 1 or 2 absolute maximum, but like they have a specifically niche role. But generally, don't use them.
I kind of miss the old days where we
TDs
could
for pub
send
games.
Yeah, but they have a quick unlock time, which is useful.
Or you could go live the old days like I like to and send 10 Foch 155s to Cliff.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many. I was kind of waiting for a
Think
crazy
they're
please
terrible.
go
Because they got nerfed.
55.
They're
The only
awful
thing
now.
it had going for them was the frontal armor, and they took it away, and now it's awful.
And the speed.
And the speed, yeah.
They took
And
they
the
took
accuracy.
everything.
Okay,
But
yeah,
they just fucked that tank.
they needed like a tap on, like on the head, and like a waggly finger being like bad, naughty, not like taken out the corner and like stomped on.
Well, I mean, a
No,
bunch of tanks that have been really popular in Clan Wars have had that same thing. Look at the E4. That thing got nerfed to shit and back. My bad. That thing got nerfed really hard. I'm trying. It's really hard, man. I'm vulgar.
Now, wait, what tanks do you think have kind of been reached more the meta? I mean, we've been really looking for more 263s, which once again will remind me that it doesn't have a turret, but 263s and the FV 215Bs.
We found we've been using FVs more, and the one thing that we found in PibCac, because we have a bunch of retards, is that IS4s tend to work pretty well because they're really hard to screw up playing. One of those high floor, low ceiling tanks.
Are you saying they're PBCAC proof?
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's why do you think we had 10 Foch 155s before? Helps us.
Russian medians.
And IS-7s.
Get out, IDD.
So fun.
50Bs.
Yeah,
Yes,
50
Oh, the 50Bs are great.
ABCR.
The fall
Master
from
Race.
grace of the 57 and the rise of the 50Bs again.
The 57 still has its role if people can finally learn that heat isn't as bad as they think it is and learn where to shoot it.
I'm not
If
saying
you
it's
guys
never
notice-
roll, I'm saying it's fallen from grace. It used to be a staple.
Your 50Bs got a silent nerf this last patch.
Oh, they did?
Well,
Yep.
DHD.
With the aim time. They didn't mention it.
Oh god, RIP 50B.
I thought they fixed. I thought they fixed that last patch.
Making
The aim
no.
time went from what 2.2 to like 2.5 or something.
They improved the aim time on the last patch.
Previous patch, and now it's back to 4.
Oh, they put it between. Whatever. It's
I'll
at
take
2.5 right now. It's at 2.5.
So,
Yeah.
what do you guys think? You think there's any other tanks out there that you guys have found in strats that you've really enjoyed, or things that you don't?
215B heavy.
Hey,
The 907 because it does stupid things because of the bounces that it gets.
Well, see,
Not
that's
only that, but those things are ghosts.
yeah,
Yep.
and I mean, we really haven't been able to in previous clan wars use the 907 because most of us just received it. Have you? I know we were talking with Gyarados after one battle. Specifically, he said, "I'm bringing 907s over anything else right now."
I think that was a joke, but I mean, I'll do it.
They're not bad, especially if like you're pushing into a brawl. They have weird armor.
They also
and
have the
better
extra DPM, yeah.
It's not noticeable though, like very very minuscule, but it's definitely better.
Well, their armor really helps because like I don't understand its front play, like both when I'm playing it and when I'm playing against one.
Besides,
Like
they're
I just
better than
don't
the
get
front.
it.
Weird, yeah.
Like I bounce like Yogg-Pan's V100s and then a freaking bulldog comes up to me and just like.
And then you get ammo racked if anyone even sneezes near you.
Oh, that ripped that ammo rack.
And people give me shit for putting safe stowage on all my crews.
God, no.
On cruise, yeah, that's not bad.
It's a good idea.
Not on the. I use a wet ammo rack on the 907 because it's awful.
Yeah,
I used it when I
with you
first
on
got
that
it.
one.
I haven't played it since I first got it.
So.
Is there anything else? Anyone
The
wants to say
907 is a
about
great
the
tank. You
Civil
should
War?
play it more.
The stream wants you to put the TeamSpeak on your stream so they know who's talking.
Yeah, I'm just working on doing that right now.
I'd have to say the craziest battle for Bulls was on Abbey against Relic second. And it was the night after I helped Alu work on some war videos, and my mod pack was all fucked up. So I get into the game. I have no over tank markers. I can't tell who's an ally or an enemy. My mini map, every tank on it is black, whether it's an ally or an enemy. And so I ended up spending 15 minutes just bitching about my mod pack, and we won with 4 seconds from an arty shell to win the game.
4-pack
You know
is
what?
illegal, so.
My mod pack also got screwed up after that, and that's when I just said, F it, I'm not going to deal with that retarded thing that Tenant linked. Because it like just broke everything. I'm pretty sure that it was actually like just a devious plan to like ruin the PibCac war effort.
Yeah, well.
Through just me.
Undermining.
Should get back on track.
At one point I clicked, kill this tank, and it was our own tank.
Follow your order.
Did you shoot him? Please tell me you shot him.
So they should be able
no,
to
we were
see.
capping, and he thought that they were capping, so he got all confused.
I've put up
Go
on the
ahead, Jesus.
TeamSpeak now that they should be able to see who's talking now. So I'm just going to shift it over and start going into day 6 then. So this is day 6. South 144 points, north 64. Gap gets bigger. Capitals, LZs are still held by all the south. North putting a bit more pressure in the east as we clear out. Please go and previously the Chai stack that was way out there. Otter's starting to push a little bit more north into Rel 3G. PBCAC is surrounded. Relic is pushing up from the south. And Foxy and Claus are still holding out in the west. So I don't know if anyone wants to kind of talk a little bit what's happening now.
Hey, wake up.
What day was this, sorry?
6.
Is this,
Oh,
is
no,
this
what
the day
day
where
was it?
Would have been Friday.
Friday?
This is Friday, the day after the ceasefire.
Well, here on the east, Please Go is down to 1 province against ESPRT. We're still trying to hold them off from trying to interfere with Otter, while Otter still is trying to take out G and secure the HQs a little more. In the PBKEX stacks in the middle there, I think their HQ was gone, so I think the plan was to eliminate them and then focus more on the east part where we were mainly. We held out this day against ESPRT. We had really good battles against them. We unfortunately lost the encounter, but we held our own on Murovanka. I think we're a little more comfortable on that map than we are on Kharkov. So we've been kind of beating our heads on Kharkov for like 3 or 4 days now, I think. But I think we're doing pretty good against ESPRT, and we did our job and held them off on the east flank.
On the west, we decided to create a riot. As I said, like we were trying to make a wall, so we figured we can create a riot, and we knew on the ceasefire day, and then have dice land there on the when the battles starts, and it RNGs work in our favor. The riot did pop on the province where dice is on the west side, so we ended up putting dice there to balance things out a little bit and help stall even more. While we now we had basically three clans cover stacking each other. Foxy knows like that the whole triangle that was going on the last couple nights.
Day 6 was another clear example of the North winning their fair share of battles in the West, but not winning the ones for their territories.
Yeah, I mean overall the scoreboard, at this point we knew that Friday and then resulting Saturday and Sunday were going to be key days to get pressure on the HQs to win the overall event. But I still the battles for the most part really kind of felt almost like a 50-50 split across the board. A lot of pushing back and forth and kind of moving people around. But would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
I mean, instead of going into the other days here, geez, I'm going to go ahead and try to switch this over into make sure we kind of keep this under an hour. Overall feedback from the event. I mean, based upon the first version of this, what do you guys think? We should, would you guys definitely participate in this again? Has it been positive for you guys? Is this event specifically?
I think it's a lot of fun, but I would like to see it on a different part of the global map.
Preferably one without Kharkov.
Definitely more for map variety.
No Kharkov.
Kharkov for the win.
I'm really personally sick of Malinovka.
Yeah.
I'll trade you.
All right.
Yeah. Please go does well on wide open maps, not city maps.
From my perspective, I think changing the headquarters around from time to time, would probably make it a little bit more exciting. Because once you have control of the headquarters, you can put a wall around, and it doesn't allow the other team much capability to get through because you have 15 covers. Some form of a floating HQ change, I don't know, every few days would probably make it more interesting and not quite so stagnant, but that's my own personal opinion.
It doesn't even necessarily have to move, just separating the HQs from being right next to each other would make it to where you have to extend to get the next HQ. You can't have one clan stream HQ.
Relic would probably participate again with some pretty substantial changes to the rules and the design, but if it stayed like this, I can say we wouldn't participate again.
Why? What rules are terrible?
Well, I mean, you have to keep in mind this is a dry run. This is everything that's made here was made by the community. And what we're hoping is using this as an example, next time we can get some wargaming support. Maybe we can get an off-the-map map to play on. We can get more map variety. We could work on even, working the rules to where it's a little bit more competitive. Everything's not boxed into this tight little area.
Well, that's been one of our main villains' main complaints is the fact that we were supporting a flank, and we pretty much had almost
Rip.
You cut out there.
Solid.
Yeah,
the villain's main problem is internet by the sound of it.
Yeah. So wait, I'm just curious, what's Relic's feelings hurt over about the rules?
No feelings are hurt about the rules if you want to take an attitude like that. It's design, like the concept of putting HQs on the front line instead of having them be deep in your territory where it's something you need to go after. Having landing zones be in the rears of rears of teams where you can go after them, things like that.
Well, what do you think has been positive about the event?
allies fighting allies.
Yeah, a lot of you can fight a lot of clans you don't normally get to fight. Just like in Pains, if we would have just been doing whatever, everybody's sitting on gold. Like we probably wouldn't have ever fought eSport or anybody else really. And I don't think like Otter would have really gotten to fight G otherwise. It gives a lot of exposure to every clan to each other, and a lot of cooperation has been going on. I know that a certain Otter member has been getting really insane with all of the chip movements and cover stacks and all of that. And it's I don't know, it's just really nice to see a lot of people put a lot of effort into an event like this.
You get
Yeah, I
good
think one of the main, I
attendance.
mean, one of the main things we want, yeah, one of the main things we want to showcase outside of, just a tournament setting was the strategic aspect that the Clan War map provides. And I think that we've definitely shown that. There's two competing strategies. At this point, I think it's be clear to show that one strategy was better than the other strategy. I think the events leading up to this, the draft, I think just like any draft day for an NFL fan is exciting, and granted, there's always going to be controversies with picks or cheers and jeers. But leading up and the tier 10 strongholds, 10s of 10s, I think that's been very active. I mean, overall, I think someone said the attendance has definitely gone up.
Oh yeah.
I think it's rejuvenated a little bit more of the 15 on 15 tier 10 format of this game.
It's definitely stirred up the map, which is great. Like you mentioned, a lot of different clans fighting different clans, but a lot of people, other clans are getting excited just watching this and getting updates on this.
Not that. Like a lot of us have been playing this game for over 3 years, and in this last 10 days that we've been doing this, there have been more content released on YouTube, on Twitch, and on the forums than probably all of the 3 years combined.
I don't know about that.
No.
I mean, the
No,
SEC war had a lot of publicity on it.
There haven't been any. Okay.
He's talking about recently.
I'm not talking. Yeah, I'm also talking about an outsider looking in. So, like you haven't seen a Twitch where a clan like 15 versus 15 with the calls, with like that caller input is invaluable for new clans and new callers trying to break into the clan wars scene. There is, like, if you search on YouTube, there is very scarce information when it comes to calling and like good clans fighting other good clans. So I think that's been great. Personally, I enjoyed watching the Otter versus G battles, the all the back and forth on Kharkov between ESPRT and Please Go. The villain strat on Kumarin was really interesting to like see Zombie calling those battles.
Lee Snyder, you mean? That's Elsie's strat.
Well, I think another positive thing that has come out of this too is, there was, everybody kind of put aside the diplomacy and really either, rallied around the respective sides and worked together. There hasn't been really any backstabbing or finger pointing going up to either side, or within. I think, while the internet is normally considered a hostile place, for I would say 99% of the interactions of this event have been very positive on both sides, and I think that's one thing that really comes to light in a smaller community that we have in this game.
I think a testament to that is that, when G finally ended up being removed from the map, it was through the combined efforts of Otter and Thugs, which, if you think about it, is a little bit absurd.
But so we got 10 minutes left before we kind of close this down. Jesus, did we have any questions out of the chat room that specifically people want to ask to anybody? And just kind of a rundown. I mean, we have Villain, Please Go, Bulls, Claws, PBCAC, Russ, Relic, Chai2, Dice, ESPRT, Tea Time, Foxy. Well, we got Relic 3 in here, Otter, Thugs. If anybody wants to ask anything to these guys, feel free to.
You have to wait a little bit for the
Stream to
people
catch up.
watching. Yeah.
I know there was whether this is just a joke of a question, but from a guy named, he's CGC Best Cancer NA in the chat, but he said from struggle to Mac from Dice, does he still hate Please Go? So I don't know the story behind that, but he wanted me to ask that. I don't know if
think
that
the
means
story behind that is, I think Dice has had like a history, or that I've noticed, of kind of following us around the map. So like we would land on an LZ, and then like a day or two later, like Dice would be on that LZ trying to land on it, and like everywhere we went.
Well, difference of opinions on that, but if we boarded, we fought. Pretty much is how I saw it. But no, probably 2 minutes into being picked, me, Duke, and Nathaniel, we buried a hatchet for this because we wanted to win.
So you guys are like Marine brothers, but once somebody messes with the family, you guys team up.
Yeah, that's like it's like that with us and Dice, and also with me and my younger brother Rill on the team as well. We kind of buried the hatchet with that. Shout out to my Tavares Will. But yeah, Russ and Please Go. Everybody is thinking like, oh, Russ is gonna chip into Please Go or vice versa. And well, one, we were never bordering, so we didn't get the chance. But two,
now was that a tactic by the team?
I think that was
leaders?
on purpose.
we were
you
gonna
two sit at separate quarters.
we were playing well though together and being friendly to each other and stuff like that. So it's definitely been fun getting to talk to people in other clans or like see other strategies like Panzerkin was saying earlier. Like we probably wouldn't normally ever talk to Villain just because we're usually on separate ends of the map, or Bulls for the same reason, or Chai because they're primarily Chinese and we're not. So we wouldn't really normally talk to these guys, but it's cool to interact and get opinions on strategies or just the game in general. Also talk about chip movements and stuff. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, we were all in pretty much constant communication, and there's just no animosity. I mean, every now and then there are, discrepancies on what the next best move is.
Right.
But even those were fielded just very well. We, like they were saying, Random did most of the chip movements, and I was kind of the guy who fielded the community, felt them out, felt what they felt we should do, and then brought those to Random, and we analyzed those together and see how we could incorporate their needs into the overall scheme. And even as I think there was one night where it looked like North could kind of change the axis of the war. Even then, everybody was still banding together and nobody was getting frustrated with each other. Was that similar on your side of the map, Inchon?
Yeah, I think for our side, we actually spent Tuesday scrimming against each other to prepare for Wednesday, and we basically told the guys, hey, we need to win 66% of the battles, no less. And when we had that kind of surge on Wednesday, it allowed us to take that momentum in, and we scrimmed again on Thursday. And then by Saturday, we didn't get, we knew we needed to be on 2 headquarters at least on Saturday to win on the point side. But still, everybody's morale was still high. There was still hey, we're getting the fights in here. This is experience. I mean, this is as far as I've been personally, this is the only time where I can openly chip anybody around me and not have a diplomatic whiskey tango foxtrot of what's going on. So no, it's been good, and I'll tell you what, Claws and Relic 2 out there being the little Alamo, and PBCAC standing tall.
I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I was the Alamo.
Well,
I got taken over.
They
The Alamo
were the
got taken
original.
over.
They were the original Alamo, but Gyarados, hey, I'll hang on here as long as you guys need me. You need to come over here and save me. We're not gonna let you down. So it's.
I mean, it was a few more curse words than that, but yeah.
Now I'm looking at the chat. We just get to figure out who the former military are that know what Whiskey Tingle Foxtrot is.
If you don't know, I'm not. No, 2 and 2 people.
The Bloodhound Gang has told everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what we all know.
So, what are questions we have out there?
Yeah, one of the other questions that was in there said, if the North could change anything that happened with the war, what would they change? So I don't know if Inch or any of the other ones from the North want to kind of chime in on that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm the leader of the North, and the strategy and the picks, and it's I'm responsible for it. So I'll go ahead and field that. I think one of the things that really kind of set us back, and I really failed Relic on, was not getting our people into place as quickly as we needed to, and not requesting maybe another day for our chips to green up or to get the cover stacks in place. So day one, Relic was at a disadvantage, and that quickly broke that line down. So if that's one thing I would have changed, and definitely a note I'm taking forward, is before each side starts, confirm that all the chips are greened up, so each side is starting with a fair advantage. So I mean that's just one of the challenges, and I know Otter, or Lou, we've talked about it. You didn't necessarily have the ideal situation how you wanted to start it off, but that's one of the challenges of working on a live map, where you have clans leaving the map and you got to move people over and riots happening, things of that nature. So yeah, the start's definitely one thing I would change.
That actually probably falls into what a lot of people that not on the map or just barely on the map, maybe a landing zone, don't realize how important chip movements are, and planning that ahead and taking into account what the other side might do.
And moving your chips before last turn.
Actually, that question brings an interesting question. Let's say Alu was on the other side. What would he do differently to make the North win, other than Otter running through everything?
North hasn't lost yet.
What changes?
We're still around. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
We're still fighting. I mean, we might.
There are still 31 points until mathematical elimination.
You got this.
I love this optimism.
We have not yet begun to fight.
No, I don't.
Hold on.
We better start shortly.
Oh, the double entendre was strong on that one.
I'm sorry, 39 points. I misspoke.
Maybe for the next event, have it so that actually, like, heading out towards the end, that's what decides it, not like some point number that could be reached before the end of the event.
Yeah,
like Battlefield style?
There's a lot of feedback.
Standings of the map on the final night is what should divide it, not a continual accumulation of points.
Yeah,
or like a mixture of both.
Disagree.
And then there's feedback that we're getting.
Because if you do it this way, if what happens here, where one side gets an early advantage, it becomes damn near impossible to pull back. Versus in real war, some key battles could come into play, which can actually turn it to where you can turn the tide of battle.
There's definitely some variables we can look at, Midas, to try to find a way to maybe weight things differently to where the beginning of the game is still relevant, and the end of the game is able to be overcome.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. I'm like, if we do it the way that he said there, where it counts at the end of the match, I was going to say, I'm like, the whole start of the tournament wouldn't even really count, because you could just sit there, throw all your bad tanks against the enemy's good tanks, lock them all, and then show up with your good tanks when you need them.
Yeah.
So
planned headquarter movements.
Yeah, we got there's a thread up right now. Yeah, there's a thread up right now that's as these ideas come up, from both sides of the match or the event here, or even people that are observing, to be able to go up there, put those ideas down on that forum thread, allow us to capture them, and go forward. I do, with the kind of last question here, I will ask, based upon this event so far and the campaigns that we've been a part of, what has been more enjoyable for you guys?
This, because we don't have
This has
stupid
been more
rules.
fun.
I prefer the fame points, to be honest.
The
Get out.
draft pick. Get out.
Get out.
The
User
fame
has
points
been
just
kicked off
get
the
it's fun
server.
at first. The real campaigns are fun at first, but when you get down to the end of them, where players from your clan are worried about themselves not being picked and they're like getting upset, like the end of the campaigns are not fun, but the start of them are.
But so
I would agree with that.
Fame
'cause
points are not coherent for team play.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did-
exactly. Because then I've probably been greedy of it myself. Players get selfish and worry about their own points rather than playing for a team.
Yeah, let's have a player organized event with fame points.
Well,
We'll
I
just
know,
whip that right up.
I know. I saw one question in the chat, and I don't mean to step on you here, but said, "What is wargaming actually taken away from this?" And Alu, Jay, Yankee's not on here, but Hypnotic has been aware of the conversation, keep an eye on it, and this event has been or is being watched by Russia, the other servers, the SEA server. To see what we can come out here, or what can come out of this and possibly they can use elsewhere. I definitely think from the feedback that I've received and just the community involvement, and the overall motivation of the event, definitely trying to work with Wargaming ahead of time, see what we can go out there to where the next event is even smoother. The rule set's already in place. It still has that kind of sandbox environment, and we can continue to build on it. So, any parting thoughts before we close out this stream?
Do tier 10 strongholds now.
Yes, please.
Donate to Gyarados. No particular reason, just do it.
I don't play
Alright.
ZZ.
Now what, Lev? I don't want to trade CS4 skins with me.
All right, Cheese, go ahead and take us home, buddy.
All right. Well, I mean, as it stands right now, with this is the end of day 8. Big lead for the South. I'm interested to see how the rest of it plays out. I think one of the things that's going to be interesting when this event's all said and done is where do we go to from here next, right? Because I think a lot of us, I know myself, I've been enjoying a lot of the fights and having custom fights every night. But when this event ends, do we just go back to the regular, or what sort of changes or things is Wargaming going to bring back into it? So appreciate everyone coming in and sharing their opinions, and maybe we'll have something like this at the end of it to wrap up the event. So I don't know if anyone else has any parting words before we turn it off.
Nope.
All right. Well, tier 10 strong. There we go.
All right, cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep, see ya.
Goodbye.
User disconnected.